And if you're going to sleep, look yourself in the eyes. Mirror, mirror, mirror. Can you tell me, who am I? Who defines races? Who benefits from this and why? To which racial or ethnic group or groups do you identify yourself? Do you accept DNA ancestry tests or historical pictorial depictions? Are all black people Bantus? Questions of race. Welcome, Conscious BaNtus scattered all over the earth. Join Priest Rabbi LMDumizulu today as we focus on practical uses of our time. We train our minds to be imbued with the ancient spiritual power so that our thinking recreates that which our ancestors, the ancient Africans, discovered and used to create complex civilizations like ancient Egypt, Mohenjo, Daro, and Zvamaruwa or Sumeria. This is our only real hope today. There is no power within our brain that exceeds the ability to define or redefine concepts. Consider the simple question on race which we have alluded to. We are told usually selectively that the current scientific consensus on race concedes that race as defined has comparatively little value scientifically. Why? Because there is more genetic variation within each race than between racial groups, we are told. However, most leading think tanks proceed to demonstrate by practice that race is a useful construct in political and psychosocial thinking and thought. It is therefore clear that defining our race is almost everything we must habitually acknowledge as true source for our independent world view. Our world view expands based on ever widening foundations built upon the ability to define and redefine. They tell us that heterogeneity is to be ignored at certain occasions and certain times, but the quality or state of being a diverse entity or character in content depends with what we see with our eyes. This is the fact that we should always carry. To assume that DNA has a better definition than what our ancestors wrote, drew, carved by sight is not a correct hierarchy of knowing. Therefore, DNA should never be the primary eyeglass of defining our ethnicity and our race. To arrive at the most powerful definition of your race, are you going to ditch your history, to ditch your totems, to ditch your traditions, and adopt wholesale, hook, line, and sinker, the scientific standards like DNA test? If yes, you must remember that the same people that colonized and enslaved you and gave you religion, philosophies, divisions, divided Africa, divided us globally or earthwide, are the same people that are coming today with DNA solutions to the problems of our identity. Ancestral power in definition. This is what our ancestors left. It's not the only one, but it's one of those powerful items that everyone must know and understand and keep this picture everywhere where they can see it. It's from Asarimotep website given here. This painting is from the tomb of Ramesses II, 1200 years BCE. It shows that the Egyptians saw themselves as blacks and painted themselves as such with no possible confusion with Indo-Europeans, Caucasians, or the Semites. It is a representation of the races in their most minute differences, which ensures the accuracy of the colors. This is an Egyptian. This is an Egyptian. This is how they depicted themselves throughout their entire history. As a record that has come to us, the Egyptians never entertained the fantasy of portraying themselves as either like this or like that, but they always portray themselves like that. This is a fact. DNA evidence is geared to monopolize interpretation and as soon to restructure our understanding of history if we are not very careful. If they go on to go to the beginning, say 40,000 years ago, then they will start to find non-African DNA in Africans. And the people will buy that hook, line, and sinker. You go to this and study the forum, the debates that have been going there versus identity and all that has come about. The most powerful definition will be DNA dependent in future. And today, millions say they are not Bantus because they are basing that from the DNA and the historical explanations that has come. We shall prove something here. East Africa, the scholar elaborates and teaches that self-confidence, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, self-love, self-defense, self-protection, and self-value, all of these are not to be tolerated by the current system. Why? Because the colonized and enslaver cannot allow anyone to seize their power to define or redefine. Otherwise, it will lead to self-capacity and self-currency. And an independent economy, an independent technology is the worst nightmare for their parasitic, false oppressive system called resource balance and equality. We learn now that the Bantu are an ancient group of people from Africa. Then they say, whose origins are unclear. Why would they say that? We've just shown you an image and a picture that was carved by the Bantus of the races, the two races they saw themselves, and they saw and realized. So go to this website and study more of this. Bantus Negros. The term Negro is a Spanish for black. Negro was widely used by Europeans as shortened form of the racial classification of Negro to describe people of sub-Saharan African heritage, already dividing because there were other people of negritic nature found in other places. Bantus are black. Skin color is not absolute, but yes, Bantus are relatively black. The term black generally refers to a person with African ancestry in origins. In some circumstances, usually in politics or power struggles, the term black signifies all non-white populations. All this. That is clear. African origins. Are they Bantus? Are Africans Bantus? In ancient Rome, they used and popularized the term Africa Terra, land of Afri, or Affair, or Offa, or Orphi, the biblical one, singular. We have a video that deals with this topic very thoroughly. It's here. Africa must change its name fast. Study that video and see ourselves. This is the original Africans, the Andaman people, the original inhabitants of India. What about other black people on earth? Are they Bantus? Are you a Bantu if you are a Native American, a Caribbean, an Aboriginal in Australia or New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Khoisan, Nilotic, and Pygmies? Scholars and geneticists will shock you by telling you that you are not a Bantu. I received a message recently from someone in West Africa who said they are not Bantu. What a lie. What a fallacy. What a form of ignorance. This is a native family of St. Vincent's by Augustine Brunius, 1730-1796. What's the difference with an African? It's zero. None. They are the same. Before we share the answer to a number of questions, let us look at one brilliant scholar whose descriptions allows us to derive our definition easily. Is Laila Africa, who wrote the book Melanin, What Makes Black People Black. It's a great book, brief and to the point. You can get this book from Amazon. Melanin Classification of Races of Humans. You can see here that he splits them in many divisions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there are only 2. Those with the melanin, and the rest are the levels of melanin. You can see this is from the Sudan, and this is a sentinel in the Andaman Islands. They are same people, same melanin. So the anatomy of differences of those who are black or Africoid or Negroid and the non-black races, it is on melanin. The blacks have got high content of melanin in the body, and those others have least amount, bordering on albinism. And when it comes to the eyes and absorption of light in the eyes, they have problems and is least absorbable, and controls the cyclical rhythms of all organs and even sleep. That's the power of melanin or carbon, or that which makes us black or dark or brown. Black people and other races again continue the buttocks, steatopedia. Black people, majority of them have got high muscular development, which allows extensive hip and thigh movements. That's why even our dance is based on wriggling of our thigh. While these other non-black people have flat backs, bottoms, and a limited mobility. Our legs, black people, are longer in proportion to the upper body, allows better movement for walking and running and dancing. Other non-black people, their legs are short. When it comes to blood, black people's blood forms complex pyramids when heated, and allows for better storage and transmutation of energy. Others, it's less pyramidal. The liver of black people is slightly larger than those who are non-black, and allows increased cleansing and energy storage. And the hair of black people is kinky or straight and is black. And sometimes, the majority of black people have less hair on their bodies, while these other races are very, very hairy. When it comes to the eyes, the black people, their eyes are furthest apart, while these other races, their eyes are closer. Our eyes, black people, are always either brown due to melanin content, or black or dark brown. Others, their eyes are either blue, gray, or green. And also the nose, which is a problem to other races. African nose, which you can see here, is broad and flat. Why? To allow angular contour, and also allow the absorption of air to vibrate at high frequency, to stimulate electromagnetic energy, allows wider vision. Others, it's raised and chisels and narrow, and separates and divides images, and sees the world divided and a limited field of vision and color. Why are the noses missing from so many Egyptian artifacts? They knocked the nose and chopped them off. Why did they do that? Then they come and tell you that the DNA of these people, whom they knocked off their noses, are of Asians and Europeans. And many people believe and buy that. Are they, or were they not, Africans or black? Millions of black people clap their hands and defend DNA. Some even go for DNA tests and pay huge amounts of money to trace their ancestry, yet it's there, depicted there. Straightforward, the noses were knocked off of all our ancestors. Why? Because of the explanation we have already given. Scholastic tricks galore, plenty of them. It comes in many explanations. You can see this image above here. They say type 2 typical profiles of people in contemporary Great Lakes, right? Then they say Semitic and non-Semitic, already dividing us. There's nothing like that. They say non-Semitic Africans are improperly called Bantu, to impose the empire, suggesting that the Bantu are the natives and that the Tutsis are the strangers, the invaders and the thieves, which is wrong. When it comes to Melanesian diversity, it's everywhere. It's clear that the hair that you can see here, clear, straightforward, it's Africoid. It's what is in the features. You can see the Buddha, who started off with a flat nose, big mouth, dolly-sephatic chin, a kinky hair and black skin, gradually changed, and now is a fat Buddha like that. You can see here, this is our sentinels who have never been in contact with anyone else. Look at what they look like. They are African straight to their core. Anyone with 1% of African or black traits is a Bantu, is a Muntu. Any feature, whether skin pigmentation, which varies from carbon black to dark brown and to light, with it's all of one family. If you have got a flat nose, protruding jaw, black to light brown eyes, we are all Bantus. Millions are being lied to by scholars. Here is the proof of how scholars are changing it. The first half of the 20th century, the traditional sub-races of the Negroid race were regarded as being the true Negro, the forest Negro, the Bantu Negro, the Nilote, the Negrilo, also known as the African Pygmy. The Khoisan, often historically referred to as Hottentot or Bushman, the Negrito, also known as the Asiatic Pygmy, and the Oceanic Negroes, consisting of the Papua New and the Melanesian, all these were said, oh yeah, they are Negro. By the 1960s, some scholars regarded the Khoisan as a separate race known as the Capoid race. So when you say that the Khoisan, the Bushmen are not Bantus, you are just repeating a scholastic definition, a scholastic position. It's not the correct, it's wrong. While others continue to regard them as Negroid sub-races, the term Congoid was frequently used interchangeably with Negroid, with the main difference as being that Congoid excluded the Capoid taxon. In taxonomic classification of races, they changed it. So their power is built upon their ability to define and redefine. We must retake that power. What is the most powerful definition of an African race then? It's a Muntu, it's a Bantu. Why? Because Ba is a soul, and the Mo, Ya, spirit, and into is flesh, black flesh, Negroid flesh. That's why they attacked Ramesses II, knocked the nose, knocked the chin, because of the jealous they realized. Hamiti Hebrew Ethics, Spirit, Life Sciences. Subscribe to our channel, Hamiti Hebrew Ethics. This spiritual rabbi, LMDumizulu. Thank you, Tatenda Siabonga. All black people are Bantus.